Welcome to the Fluffy Cat Studio, part two of our bright and cheery crafts, summer DIYs. Okay, I am going to take my little nose, we're going to get right into it, and I'm going to paint that with the Cocky Brown from Apple Barrel. And then I'm going to go over my horns with some antique white. I will do 2 coats on these horns. Okay, now I'm going to take some chocolate bar brown from Apple Barrel and I'm getting it watered down pretty good, and I'm going to go around the top edge, and then with a little more brown I am going to go around the side edges with the darker brown. Okay, now I'm going over it with some antique white, just kind of blending everything in together there. And I do lightly go over the edges, not very with not very much paint, just very little, just lightly going over it. Okay, then I'm going to go back over the top of them with the horns again with one more coat of the antique white. Then I am going to take some Titan Bond, the thick and quick and thick, I think is what it is, and then I'm going to glue that nose onto the foam pull noodle on his face that we've got reserved for his little nose. I'm just going to make sure we got that in, and then remember I told you to save your fur. I'm going to, I have a little place in between the foam in that nose that, or the fur in the nose that's a little bare, so I'm going to add a little bit there on each side of the nose. I ended up sanding it down a little bit because it was a little bigger than I wanted it. So I did kind of sand it down a little bit before I painted it. And I did let everything dry for about 24 hours, except for the hoofs because they were thicker, and I let them go about 48 hours. Okay, now I am going to cut some of that, what is it, the skewer off, and I'm going to put some glue, Titan Bond on that ear, or that horn, and then just behind the ear, I'm going to punch a hole and we are going to put in our horn using our pot, our part that we got in our head, and also the ears for a guide. We're going to do the same on the other side, making sure that we've got them even. And that's where it comes in handy to have that little part so that you can, it's easier to get them straight. And now I'm going to dip that in the thing and I'm going to let it get in there, and then I'm going to take some hot glue and just glue it around the bottom to hold it in there while the other glue dries. And I will do the same for the other side, and I think I am showing it, I guess. Got to punch that little hole in. You want to make sure you're getting it even with the other horn. And I'm just gluing it in there. Okay, now I'm taking some sunglasses. I couldn't tell what I was doing there for a minute. And I took the earpieces off, and now I'm just gluing the frame around over his nose and for his eyes. That's why we didn't put no eyes on here. We're gonna put the little sunglasses on to make him also cool. I was gonna put a little bright swimming suit on him, but you're not gonna be able to see it when we get him done. So that would have been senseless. So now I just give him a little comb. Now we're gonna go on to the reef because we want to make sure that the hoofs and things are dry. And so all I'm doing is cutting some strips, and then I'm going to glue. These have kind of a wire edge to them, or yeah, so I don't know so much if it's wire or if it's just the tulle kind of or netting kind of ribbon, and so I go along the edge and glue the two edges together, and then I glue them onto the reef. And I'm going to show you with the yellow that we're going to do next. I'll show you. I wrap a couple that ribbon around a couple times before I do this, before I start gluing the little loops on. I'm just going to cut however many I need or want, and I'm going to tell you, if you cut them thinner, you can get more on and you can get them poofier and make them look really quite full. If you do them a little bit bigger, then it doesn't look quite as full. It still works, but you don't have to use nearly as much ribbon. So it's either way you want it to go. And if you notice, I'm not doing the back because I want it to sit against the door a little bit better. So I'm just doing the sides. Now I'm taking this yellow and I'm going to start with gluing it a little bit, and I'm going to glue it as close as I can to the pink, but because of the curve in the reef, it just doesn't quite line up as well as I'd like it to. And I wrap it around twice, and as how I did the reef, I took a pool noodle, of course. I love pool noodles. And I stuck a little 1/2-inch PVC pipe in the hole and glued the hole. And then I did tape with some masking tape around the top part where they connected, at least to hold it till the glue dried. And I never did bother taking it off because we're covering it up anyway. And I found this may look like it takes a long time, but it's really, really quite quick and fast. And I found that if I cut all the strips and glue all the little strips together to make the little loops, it goes by very, very fast. So this is what I'm doing, is I'm just gluing all these little loops, the edges together, so they kind of make a little round. They almost look like a little curler. Them old-fashioned curlers that they used to have, plastic. And I'm just gonna hurry and glue them up. It doesn't take much time at all. I'm doing it a little faster here. I've got it sped up, but it really does not take very much time. I thought it was going to take me hours to do this, and it didn't. And I'm just doing the sides, the front, and not the back. I'm a little bit out of frame right there. I'm sorry about that. Looks like I come back in. And I go around. I'm using pink, yellow, orange, and green ribbon. And I will go around. I'm not going to show it all to you. I just wanted to show you um, how to do this, and then I will go off camera and do the rest. Then I'll come back in just to show you how I did the end, even though it's the same thing. Okay, and if you notice on the bottom there, there's some pink and green that I did not go over the top two. I didn't go over, that's because we're going to set our little cow in there. Okay, so now I'm wrapping this around 2 times, and then I realize it was a little bit shorter than I needed it. So I took another piece and wrapped it around to meet up with the pink. Now you can do the pink side if you would rather have it a little bit longer. Doesn't matter. It all looks okay when you get it together. And then I do the same thing. I just cut a bunch of strips. Then I glue my loops together. And then we are on our way. And I'm just cruising along there. And then I will glue them onto the wreath. Now this wreath is going to be, it's going to be on a porch, but the porch is covered. It's a covered porch, and it's going to be on the hottest part of the day that it'll be shaded. So I think the glue will be just fine. If not, I might be in trouble. And I didn't quite have enough, so I'm cutting some more. And then I do cut a few pink and put it on to fill it in. I think seems like such a wasted day because I've been spending it so much doing these voiceovers and editing, and it's not a waste. I mean, you're doing, a lot of stuff, but I'm thinking, geez, I need to do this, I need to get this cleaned, I need to do that. And so it feels like it's been kind of a wasted day instead of getting out there and getting things done. Even though I am getting things done, it just doesn't seem like I am. It's the summer, getting summer months, warm weather, so there's so much more to do. It never ends. There's always something going on. Okay, now I'm taking a little bit of a lighter and I'm just kind of going over, and because I had a lot of glue boogers or glue gobs there, and so I'm kind of going over with that lighter to kind of melt them and melt the strings. And you want to be careful not to melt your ribbon, but it also all those little frayed edges that are poking out and stuff, it will take care of them, and then it kind of seals it so it doesn't keep raveling. Okay, now I'm going to paint my little nose on my cow and the mouth, and I'm just using a marker, Sharpie, to paint the nostrils and the mouth. Then I'm going to take a little sandpaper and I'm going to kind of sand down the little feet. Just they weren't quite as even as I wanted, and there was a couple little cracks. So I'm just smoothing it out with a little bit of running it over some sandpaper and just kind of and going in between the toes and stuff, just cleaning it up a little bit better. Now I'm going to paint it with black. I'm going around the sides and the top, and I'm going to do the whole thing, so I'll do the bottom too. Okay, now I'm just kind of giving him a trim. And if you notice, I'm not cutting him straight across. I'm kind of cutting him. I'm holding him up and just kind of cutting towards upwards so that it will um, thin it out but not make it choppy. Okay, now I'm taking a little bit of white and accenting those hoofs. I don't know if you've ever seen the bottom side of a hoof, but they're not all that pretty. And they're not even cute. So, but I am going to just kind of do some highlights on it, just give it a little bit of look of a hoof. Not in detail, but just a little bit of look. Now I'm going to glue them on, and I'm going to use some Titan Bond and some hot glue. The hot glue to hold it on while the Titan Bond uh, while the Titan Bond cures and dries and sets up. And I'm going to do that on all four of them legs. Okay, then I am going to glue him. First of all, I'm going to stick some skewers in him, and then I'm going to push those skewers into the wreath, but I found out I had to glue them first or else they'd keep pushing up into the cow, so I glued them, let it get good and set up, and then I got another skewer and pushed them in, or made holes, and then I pushed the cow in. And then I glued it with some Titan Bond. I put the Titan Bond on, and then I also glued it with the hot glue gun. I'm just letting him sit there for a minute to get good and held up, and it didn't take long for the Titan Bond to grab hold of that. Okay, now I'm taking a little glass from the party section at Dollar Tree. It's plastic, and I'm using some yellow lemon from Folk Art, and I paint the inside. Wasn't getting quite the effect I wanted, so I went ahead and put a coat on the outside as well. Then after I did all that, then I took and cut a little bit of, I took and measured the pool noodle in the little cup, and I made it a little shorter than what the cup was because I didn't want it all the way up to the top. And then I cut it, and then I take that little, I make a cardboard and I put it on top, and I make the cardboard as big as my cup area. And now if you don't want to do it this way, you could put a plastic bag, a shopping bag or something in the bottom instead of using the foam, but I just use the foam. Then I took and painted that cardboard yellow, punched a hole in it and stuck a straw in it, and then I took those little glass pebbles and I glued them on the top to make it look like ice. And now I'm taking some yellow and white and just going over that, just dry brushing over the top of that outer coat. Then I glue them in, and I don't show you how. Well, right there I trimmed all the fur off, as much as fur as I could get off, so that this would get a really good tight bond. I'm gluing it with Titan Bond, and then I end up um, gluing the arms on and the feet and everything on. And I used the Titan Bond and hot glue, but I ended up putting, and I don't show this and I don't know why, but I ended up putting clamps. I put two little clamps on the top, the arms, and then I put one great big clamp to kind of clamp them on to the glass of lemonade on the bottom. And I let it sit like that for a couple hours. And then as I did that, I thought, oh, it's a good thing nobody's seen this. They'd call the um, pet people, the PETA or whatever, on me because I was being so cruel. They just looked so harsh being on them. So little teeny tiny arms and clamped to that little lemonade thing. So once we got him good and stuck on there, you won't see me doing this because my wonderful SD card ran out and my camera didn't notify me, as it never does. And I ended up putting some flowers on the top of his head. And then I made a little sign on the top with, and I used an Easter egg, a wood cutout Easter egg from the Dollar Tree, painted it like a lemon. And I wrote, "It's time for lemonade." And then I put some leaves and some little mini lemons on there. And then I put lemon and some flowers on the side of him as well. And this is our final project. He's all bright and cheery and cute, and I love him. I think he turned out really good. I also took some of that pink netting ribbon and I folded it up and then I glued it onto the back with both hot glue and the Titan Bond, and that is what I'm using as a holder to hold that wreath on, a hook. Thank you so much for popping in today. I appreciate you. If you watched the first one and this one, I really appreciate you. And I hope you enjoyed these. I had fun making them. Like I said, it's kind of special for me, and I can't tell you what that is right now. But anyway, I am grateful that you popped in and was able to watch me do this, and I hope that you can make something like this yourself and you'll send me a picture of it. I want you to know how much I appreciate you. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. See you in the next one.